Hello once again, and welcome to Toilets to Titles. I'm Justin, and I'm with Coach Sheps today. John, how you doing?
Doing great, man. Doing good. I've had a few vacations these last few weeks. I've been getting away a little bit here and there. My birthday was last week.
Yeah.
We got football news this week. It sounds like everyone's going to show up, and the players and the NFL, and the NFL and the owners, they're going to play nice. So I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling
good. Unfortunately, Nate's unable to join us today, but we do still have a good show lined up for you. We've got an interesting game lined up that I kind of tried to throw together based off of another game that I've played with some adults in the past. So, but we made it a little bit more PG-13 and NFL related. So, but on today's show, we're gonna discuss redraft, dynasty, and dump. Essentially, we're going to throw together three guys from each position that you can compare, and you have to determine which one you would target for redraft, which one you would target for a dynasty league, and which one out of the three you would dump. And some of these are pretty tough because we like all three. But before we get to all that, I do want to remind you guys where you can reach us at. You can reach us at Toilets to Titles. That's never going to stop me from getting tongue twisted on that one. At Coach Sheps, at Justin FF _, and of course at Nate _ Dirt 19. We also do take email, toiletstotitles@gmail.com. If you have any questions or anything you'd like to see on the show, we definitely take suggestions. You can listen to us now on Apple Podcast, Podbean, and you are currently possibly live with us on YouTube and Periscope as well. So we're all over the place. We're slowly getting out there. Real quick, I want to throw in that we do have two more spots open for the Listener League, that we are affectionately calling the Frankenstank League. And that is two more of for the listeners. We are going to be giving away a couple of spots, or at least one more spot, to the best Apple Podcast reviewer. So we have an August 1st deadline on that. So if you're listening to us on Apple, hit that review button and give us a nice little review there. The best review is going to get a spot. We're also going to potentially give away another spot if we can get 75 followers or subscribers on YouTube, or up to 300 followers on Twitter. So there's a couple of different ways to win a free spot in this. So hit us with that, the subscribe button down there. One more thing.
We're at 51 on YouTube currently, by the way. So
what's that?
We're at 51 subscribers on YouTube currently.
Okay, 24.
Or more. It can happen.
You want to mention the concept you came up with, donating the $10 to Fantasy Cares real quick?
Yeah. So what I decided, it helps the show, and it also helps us help somebody out. We figured we're just starting fresh. We probably had I guess everybody starts with one. So we started with one follower. I don't know how long ago, but like a few months maybe. Anyway, I figured every 50 followers on there, because we're so little, we would donate $10 to Fantasy Cares. And the first target number was 239. That was 50 from when we started. So we're at 230. So we're 9 followers away. So once we hit that mark, we'll all be donating, and we'll go from there. And we'll keep growing, hopefully, and keep helping people, and it'll be good for everybody. So that's what we're doing.
Did you say we're at 229?
230. We're 230. We're 9 away. We're 9 away from the number.
Right on. I think we actually got one more follower today, so that's what threw me off there for a second. Cool. All right. Well, I guess we can get right into the meat of the show here, and I'm pretty excited about this one. I'm not going to name the name of the game that I'm basing this off of, because it's not exactly rated PG.
Shane's in the comments right now. He knows. Shane. It's fun not necessarily driving the ship, because I can comment and I can reply to those that are in the live stream. And
that's awesome. So I'm glad to hear Shane's in it.
Yeah.
Hey, appreciate you listening, bud.
Shane's in it, and then Joshua, he was in it, and he told us we were a minute late. So
Yes, Joshua. He'll keep us in line. He really will.
Wait. We got a guest this weekend, right? Or Friday night?
Yes, yeah. Actually, Josh is coming on the show. I was going to mention that at the end, but that's even better since he's on right now. Joshua from Fusion Fantasy Football. Let's just move that up to the top of the show notes now. But he's going to be coming on Friday to discuss something called the Singularity. The Singularity is a creation of his own mind, and it blew my mind when I saw it last year. And he has a website that he's graciously allowed me and a couple other writers to write some articles on. And he's a solid dude, somebody that last season I really focused mainly on his advice and your advice, John, to help gain the most profit that I've ever gained in fantasy football before. So it's going to be awesome to have both of you guys on at the same time. I was excited to see when you told me that you are going to be able to make it on Friday's show, because at first we were a little worried about that. So to have John and Josh both together, we're going to have some really good info out there. But what I like about Joshua with his work ethic and what he puts into his spreadsheets, I bust his chops about it sometimes, but it is incredible to see the work that he puts into it. So I am excited to have him on the show. It's one of the few times you'll see me overly excited about something. So it'll be interesting. It'll be fun to listen to kind of his thought process and his rankings and how he sets up his website and stuff. It will be an awful lot about him, but also on Friday's show, we are going to have a segment where we do discuss strategies from different spots within the draft. I don't know if I ran that by you yet, Coach, but that was, since I didn't know you were going to be on the show, something that I kind of came up with and based off of some articles that Joshua actually has written on his website. So it was just fitting to do it on a day that he was going to be on the show. So
I'm ready to just jump in, and I don't even need to prep, man. I'll jump in and reply and respond to all the conversation. I got all my opinions right up here. So
yeah, I know.
And
You're always ready to tell us your opinions.
Yeah. Joshua, he just gave us the hands up emoji, so he's ready to roll. All right, so I'm glad I'm sorry for forcing that to the front of the episode, but I was excited to be a part of it.
You're good. You're good. And also, since we're talking about it, go on fusionffb.com, check out his website, and check out my article. Well, let me know what you think. I wrote an article about the tight end landscape this season because of how deep all the tight ends are and how much flack I'm getting about my love for Jay Sternberger. So go check it out and let me know what you think. All right, so the show, or the game that we're playing is Redraft, Dynasty, or Dump. Pretty simple. The concept is simple anyway. The decisions, not so much. So we are going to name off 3 guys that play in the same position. Some of them have relatively similar situations, but not all of them. And you have to decide. I think the hardest part is deciding which one you're going to dump in a lot of these cases. But you do have to dump one of them.
Not for nothing, when we were naming this segment, when I changed the last word a little bit, dump, I just thought went well with Dynasty. Dynasty dump, like get rid of. But then also looking at the name of our show.
Yeah, makes sense.
When Nate said something earlier, flush.
Yeah, Nate suggested flush, but I think we're going to save flush for another episode or another segment, because that one can be played off in so many good ways. So
but I didn't mean that dump like that when I put it there, but
that's okay. That's okay.
Fits, where.
Yeah, we're okay to have elementary minds on this show.
Yeah.
So you have to choose one to dump. You have to choose one for a dynasty league. If you're going to target them for dynasty, and then you have to choose one that you would target for redraft. So you can't say 2 for redraft and 1 for dynasty and avoid the dump. So it has to be one of each. So do we want to start with yours, mine, or Nate's?
Let's go down the line. You want to do QB, so we'll do my QB1, your QB1, Nate's, and then we'll go. We can do it that way.
Okay. All right. So John, you suggested Daniel Jones, Drew Lock, and Gardner Minshew. And so since I don't have Nate here to feed this to first and make him go first, I guess this one's for me. For me, this is one of the easier ones when it comes to the dump, because I'm still not completely sold on Gardner Minshew or Drew Lock necessarily, but I think Drew Lock has the weapons and the better potential. So I know Minshew had some good games, but if I have to choose one to dump, I'm gonna choose to dump Minshew. I can't dump a guy that has Saquon Barkley in the backfield with him because he's automatically by default going to have some good games. So for dynasty purposes, I think with the draft capital and the fact that he didn't play horrible his first season and he's got Saquon, I'd probably hold on to Daniel Jones for dynasty. Any one of these guys in a redraft is going to be a backup anyway. I'm not going to rely on any of them as a starter. So or a QB2 if you're playing 2 QB or Superflex. So I guess I would go with Drew Lock as my redraft.
So I'm with you on Daniel Jones for dynasty. I like Darius Slayton. I like Evan Ingram. I like Saquon Barkley. I think Golden Tate's an excellent veteran. He's still got Sterling Shepard. So he's got weapons there. They're starting to work on that offensive line. I think he's going to get better. Do I think he's going to be elite? No. But I think he's good. He's got ball security issues. So if you're playing in leagues with high penalties for, fumbles, turnovers, he's going to hurt you a little bit. But, of these three, that's where I'm going. Now I'm dumping Drew Lock. I had Gardner Minshew on a few of my squads last year. I actually drafted him in a bunch of leagues just because I liked him coming out of college. I think he's playing for his life. I also think that the pressure is not going to get to him. He doesn't seem like the type of guy who's pressed by pressure. Drew Lock, on the other hand, I don't know. I do know that they put a lot around him, and he better succeed. And if he doesn't, I don't know how that's going to affect him. We already saw, Minshew with the veteran behind him, and he didn't play bad when Nick Foles was coming back. So I don't like the weapons as much in Jacksonville. Fournette, if he's got his head on straight, he's a good running back. He's not great, but he's a good running back. I like Laviska Shenault. He's a guy who can do a lot with the ball in his hands, so that should help Gardner Minshew a little bit because he's not going to have to, DJ Chark's your deep threat. He should create separation. And then Laviska Shenault, I think they can get him the ball anywhere on the field, screens, stuff like that. So easy targets, but they could go for big gains. I think Laviska Shenault, watch, he might win Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, so Gardner Minshew last season in the offseason was a guy that you had mentioned on your show and in one of our chats for a league that we're in together. And it was late in a draft when you were talking about him, so I took a flyer on him, and he did end up saving me. Saving me in the fact that I didn't humiliate myself. Right. I didn't win a title or anything with that one. But so you have been talking about Laviska Shenault pretty much the same way that you were Minshew last season. Not by the same comparisons, but I hear his name come out of your mouth about the same frequency as I did Minshew last year. So I've been kind of monitoring him a little bit too. So just something for our listeners to think about.
All right. So the next one, what's the next one?
So the next one were my quarterbacks that I came up with. Tannehill, Carr, and Bridgewater.
Well, I'll go first, and this one's tough for me. I think Carr I'm going to dump, just because I'm not sure. There's a lot of cloudiness in Las Vegas right now around the quarterback situation. I tweeted the other day that I'd love for them to tank and draft Trevor Lawrence. I'd love to get out there with Hunter Renfrow, Henry Ruggs, give them some weapons. Now, that's why I'm going to dump, you know what? Audible. I'm going to dump Bridgewater. I'm going to redraft Carr, and I'm going to dynasty Tannehill. I don't know how this is going to help me, but I don't know how this is going to play out, but I don't like Bridgewater. I think he's just drives the bus. He doesn't do anything special. Carr's got a lot of weapons around him, a lot of young talent, and maybe he can give us a good season. I think an average season for him, I think, will be better than Bridgewater's good season. You know what I'm saying? So those are the guys I'm tossing up. But Tannehill, I liked what I saw last year. I think we'll get some consistency from him. I think the team believes in him, and they showed him that. And I think he'll come out, with Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, Jonnu Smith. And I think he's the guy I would lock up Dynasty.
Yeah, I agree with Tannehill for sure. I think all three of them are potentially going to have really good seasons this year, which makes the other decision really tough between Carr and Bridgewater. So I see where you're battling there. But with Tannehill also, I like that they locked up Derrick Henry to an extended contract for another 4 years. So that kind of helps. Because if Tannehill has a good season like we anticipate this season with young wide receivers, then they're going to move forward with him. So that makes that decision a little bit easier. I think the future is just more plain to see with Tannehill. So as far as my redraft goes, I think I'm going to go with Bridgewater because of CMC back there. You never know when he's going to break off a dump off. And again, if Bridgewater's in my redraft, he's going to most likely be a QB2 for me or a backup. So you want the big game potential with guys like DJ Moore, and he's got a couple with Curtis Samuel, and then now Robbie Anderson that could break one too. He's got some decent targets, but Bridgewater's also not scared to run the ball, which Carr has tucked it a few times himself. So, but I think I would probably lean Bridgewater there, but it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Now, Nate did not leave us with any quarterbacks, so we're going to start off with his running backs next. And he gave us Chubb, Kamara, and Aaron Jones to decide. So, John, you gotta dump one of those guys.
I think I'm gonna go Dynasty. This is tough, man. I think I'm gonna go Dynasty. I think I'm gonna go Chubb. I think I'm gonna go redraft with Kamara, and I think I'm gonna dump Aaron Jones. Chubb, I love his athletic profile. I expect Kareem Hunt not to be too much of a factor after this season, and I think he's just going to continue to ascend. I don't think we've seen his best football yet. I think that's coming. I think with Kamara and Aaron Jones, we could say that we've seen their best football. I think Kamara's got like 1 to 2 years of elite running back status left. So give me Chubb as Dynasty for the highest ceiling coming down the pipe. Give me Kamara for redraft because he was hurt last year. He's got a chip on his shoulder. I think he played, but I think he played a little banged up. So I think he wants to come back and show everybody who he is, So I think you can get him a little cheaper this year, and I think he's going to play better than last year. And then Aaron Jones, there's uncertainty in Green Bay, and who knows where he's going to end up after Green Bay, or who knows if Green Bay is going to, sign him back, and then he's just going to continue to be in this little bit of a running back carousel with him, and now with AJ with Dylan. So I feel okay with that.
Yeah, ditto. There's not really much I can add to that either. But I will say I have two pretty big important to me drafts coming up over the next month that are redraft, and in both of those I'm in the fourth spot. So there's a really good chance I'm going to be looking at Kamara as my redraft running back there. So I'm going to have to stick with Kamara as my redraft guy because I kind of feel like I'm going to have to stick with my guns throughout the season. Chubb's not always going to have Hunt in that backfield with them. They're not always going to have two crazy, talented, good running backs back there. So, and maybe it's not Chubb in Cleveland, but Chubb will be somewhere. I'm sure he will be in Cleveland. I would imagine that would be the choice they'd make. But regardless, I'm gonna go with him for Dynasty as well, which leaves Aaron Jones out by default, which upsets me. It breaks my heart because he did have such a great season last season, and I did have one share of him last year. So, but it is what it is.
Probably gonna break Nate's heart too.
What's that?
Probably gonna break Nate's heart a little bit too. Nate's
yeah, well, maybe. They seem to like Dylan awfully well to draft him there. So
well, but does Nate? I remember I was talking with Nate during the draft, and he was going bananas. I was trying to get off the ledge. He's like, "What are they doing? No weapons for?" Because he wanted Lamb. He wanted Lamb or Shenault, and the Cowboys ended up with Lamb. And I think they got at him.
So yeah, May was a tough time to be a Packers fan.
Right.
All right. I believe that this one was mine that I came up with. So Dobbins, CEH, or Taylor. So since I came up with it, I'll let you go first again.
Dobbins. Well, I'm going Taylor. for Dynasty. I think Taylor's special. I think long term he's going to be listed with the top backs in the game, for some time. So I'm going to go Taylor for Dynasty. Now, with Dobbins or Edwards-Helaire, I don't think either of them is going to start the season, as the guy. So who would I go redraft? So now if I'm trying to do the best case scenario, they're all kind of in a backfield with somebody else. I think Taylor's got the easiest path to starting. So now if I had two teams, one redraft and one dynasty, and I had to put both teams in the best situation, I might go Taylor redraft just because I think he's going to produce this year. And then I might go Dobbins dynasty because I think Dobbins, dynasty-wise is better than Dobbins redraft, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I like Taylor long term, but if I have to build two teams with these three guys, then I think I'd go Taylor redraft. I'd go Dobbins dynasty, and then I'd dump Edwards-Helaire. I like Edwards-Helaire, but I think, Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball 40, 50 times a game is going to be a thing. They're going to be up a lot. Are they going to want to, put a guy they drafted that high in garbage time just to run the ball? Or they're probably going to want to take him out too and keep him fresh. So you're going to see, I think, a lot of guys, you might see Damian Williams in garbage time. You might even see some Darwin Thompson in garbage time. Maybe in the first year, Edwards-Helaire will get that because he's the rookie. But once he starts to establish himself, they might even take him out, put somebody else in. So I think that's what I would do.
So what's tough for me is that of the three of them, like you said, I think that Taylor has the best redraft potential right now. And I think actually CEH will take over for Williams long term a lot faster because it won't take them long to realize that he's probably better than Williams. But I do think that Williams will hold on to it for most of the season this year. So that kind of knocks him out of the redraft. But I don't want to not have Dobbins. Like, I want him somewhere, So that makes it tough. So I think, obviously as a Colts fan, I'm going to keep my share of Taylor somewhere. So I'm going to slide him into my dynasty. I'm going to keep Dobbins for this season, and I'm going to dump CEH, which kind of breaks my heart a little bit. So I don't know. I should have came up with a different one because that one's kind of upsetting.
No, it's good. And then Shane, he's been commenting on all of these. He says he would redraft CEH. He dynasty Taylor, and then he dumped Dobbins. So me and you were pretty similar, and his was a little different. So that's interesting. I remember when Edwards-Helaire got drafted to the Chiefs, and in our Too Legit chat, our dynasty chat, Shane I think had like the first 3 picks. And he said, boom, that's the number 1 pick right there. Yeah, I ended up not taking him. I ended up getting him. But, as soon as he went to the Chiefs, so Shane's been consistent with his love for Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah, and he should be because Williams isn't anything to write home about necessarily. But I don't know. I think it'll be a little bit before he takes over that spot. Mm-hmm. I'll go first this time. You suggested Ingram, Montgomery, and Singletary. So I know your love for Montgomery.
I like Singletary too, though, and I like all 3 of these guys.
I in my mind, Ingram is the deadlock for the redraft. I still think he's going to have one more good year, even if Dobbins does take on a big role. That offense can carry 2 good running backs, so Ingram should have a solid season. So I'm gonna stick with him for redraft. Clearly don't want Ingram for Dynasty, and I'm definitely not going to dump him. So he's going to be my redraft. And then so where I have my tough decision here is Montgomery or Singletary because I'm okay with either one of them in Dynasty, really. But I think that Singletary – I don't know. Because I think Montgomery is the better back, but I think Singletary might have the better opportunity with a better offense. So that's where I'm kind of like, which one's going to go up faster for Dynasty? And neither one of those organizations really breed commitment to improvement. But I guess talent will rise. So I'll go with Montgomery for my dynasty, and I'll dump Singletary.
Yeah, and Zach Moss, dude's an animal.
Yeah,
dude is. I think he could become the RB1 in Buffalo. I think his running style will endear him to that fan base so much. He's beast mode light, right? And he's explosive as hell. He runs hard. He's tough. He's gritty. So I think it's going to be Zach Moss. I think it's going to be his backfield long term. I think Singletary's a dude. He's very athletic. He's very elusive. So I think he's going to get touches, but I think he's going to be, in the 10 to 15 touch a game range. And I think you could see, Moss in the 15 to 20 touch a game, range. So, I think I'm going to dump Singletary. I think I'm going to redraft Ingram, and I'm going to dynasty Montgomery. Because now Montgomery, I think Cohen, I don't think he's going to be an issue long term. I think his time's probably almost up in Chicago. I think Monty, I think he'll another year in a weight room, in an NFL style weight room. I think he's going to become a little bit more explosive, and his vision's there. He sees the cutback lanes. He's elusive as hell, and I think he's ascending. And then with Ingram, with the redraft, you just know what you're going to get from him. I think he's very, very safe. Whereas you're talking about Montgomery and Singletary, there's uncertainty with those offenses. With Ingram, I know I'm at least going to get 10 games of, RB 10 to 14 numbers, and I'll take that. I'll take that. So
with a possible 2 touchdown game.
Right here, exactly, and it could be off of 40 yards.
Right.
8 carries for 40 yards, but 2 touchdowns. So that's where I'm going.
Right on. All right, I'm back up with your suggestion at wide receiver, Darius Slayton, who we both just talked about this week through the chat, where we both decided we both kind of like the guy. DJ Chark, who's hard to hate anywhere, and then N'Keal Harry, who now has Cam Newton. So again, another tough one. So 3 guys that I like, 3 guys that I'm pretty sure I like, but I know that I like Slayton. So I'll start there. So with Darius Slayton, I think he's already the best wide receiver in that offense, even better than Golden Tate. I know that's kind of blasphemous for some people to hear, but I think that Darius Slayton is the guy already. I want him in Dynasty because I think that he can build a good rapport with Daniel Jones, 2 young guys that could potentially be the face of that offense for a long time. I've already said that I'm not really all in on Minshew, so that's why I kind of pull back a little bit on DJ. But I think, man, this is another tough one. Because I think N'Keal Harry kind of takes a step up with Cam back there. I know Cam's accuracy downfield isn't the greatest, but he's not afraid to throw it downfield. So and Harry's good for those 50-50 balls. But I think if I had to put my money and put my team on it, I'd have to go with the guy that we know is definitely going to play well in that offense, which is DJ Chark. So I'll go with DJ for redraft, and I'll dump Harry.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go Slayton redraft because I think he's going to have a big year. I like Slayton too, but I think his ceiling is capped a little bit, whereas N'Keal Harry, I'm going to go with him Dynasty because I think that he's an ascending player, and I think his long-term potential, even though I like Slayton, I think his long-term potential, might be a little higher, based upon what we've seen of him, his draft capital, and his film, back at college. So give me N'Keal Harry Dynasty. Give me Darius Slayton this year, and then Chark. I could have easily taken him redraft as well. But last year he missed a few games. I don't know if how much Minshew is going to connect with him. Now you got Laviska Shenault in that offense. So I think I'm gonna put Chark aside. I'm gonna go Slayton redraft and N'Keal Harry Dynasty.
Okay. All right. So Shane Hallam says that Harry is equal to Chad Jackson. So that makes me feel okay.
Right there. He was there when I was at school.
So yeah, I feel okay dumping him now. So, but I like it. I like the prophet here, Shane Hallam, telling us that if Trevor Lawrence or Fields goes to the Jaguars, then Chark is going to be a top 5 wide receiver, and I don't think I can disagree with that.
Where I didn't see that. Oh, if Jaguars get T-Law, yep, or Fields.
Yeah,
well, Chark can run. He can stretch the field, but we made these tough. So I like Nikhil coming out of Arizona State, and I want to have him on the roster.
All right, we got Sutton, Robinson, and Ridley. I came up with this one. So what do you think, Coach?
Allen Robinson, right, and Calvin Ridley and Cortland Sutton. I think I'm going to go Calvin Ridley redraft. I think the guy is a touchdown machine. He's still got Julio Jones on the other side, so I think that's going to help him, get open, take attention away from him. Austin Hooper's gone, right? So that's going to open up a few touchdowns, some intermediate yards. So give me Ridley for this year. And then between Sutton and Robinson, I don't think this is hard. Robinson, he's a great wide receiver, but that offense is shit. Excuse my language. I think that's the first time I've ever cursed on this show, but I think
I allowed 2 of those and still be in good graces with YouTube. So,
but I think it's fairly used because in this episode it is. It's terrible. So give me Cortland Sutton long term. He's another guy ascending. He's going to have Jerry Jeudy on the other side of him. If Drew Lock can become the guy, he's going to have a few years under his belt with him. And if not, they're going to draft somebody. And you got to think that eventually John Elway is going to get it right. So give me Sutton Dynasty, Ridley redraft, and then I'm kicking Robinson out, but I'm telling him it's not you, it's me.
Okay.
Tell him to go.
Right. So I threw this one in here just mostly for the Fusion chat that I'm in because I'm a little bit higher on Ridley than most of them in that chat. So Joshua, if you're still on with us, you can throw in your 2 cents on Ridley if you like. But so with Ridley, I think I'm going to keep Ridley for dynasty purposes because I think that he is at worst a top level wide receiver 2 with his explosiveness. And when Julio is gone, I think he could have the potential to have some wide receiver 1 games. But consistent wise, I think he's always going to be a go-to guy for that offense. So I'm going to keep him for dynasty. I think Robinson could have a really good season again this year. I've been on Robinson a lot more this year because for the last 37 years I've underestimated him, and he has come out and blown away. Like every single year he does it. Like I don't get it with this guy. I say no to Robinson, and he says yes. So I'm not going to do it again. I'm not going to sleep on him again. That it is a bad offense. It's a horrible offense. The defense isn't even as good as it should be on paper. They're going to have to throw the ball a lot, and hopefully Foles can come in and add some accuracy there. And I want to see one more year from Drew Lock before I commit too much to that Broncos offense. So Sutton is my dump for this one. Let's see, and then we have Nate's here. DJ Moore, DK Metcalf, and AJ Brown because he does not like full first names.
Yeah.
So with this one,
that's good. That's clever.
No. So for this one though, DK Metcalf, I don't know about that guy, man. I was so far down on him, and then he's proven to me that he can be a really good wide receiver in the league, but I'm still not. I don't know. There's just something about him. I just want to continue to see. I want to see. I don't know, because he stayed relatively healthy throughout the season, which was what I thought would bite him early. He did get better as the season progressed, but AJ Brown just tore it up at the end of the season, and I can really see him being a long-term thing, and DJ Moore as well. I'm more confident that Moore and Brown are going to be solid good things. So for that reason, I'm going to dump Metcalf. But for dynasty purposes, I'm going to keep AJ Brown. I just love that explosiveness and that speed. DJ Moore has the ups and the 50-50 balls, but so I'm going to keep him for my redraft.
All right, I think I kind of – can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, good. I thought I lost you a little bit, but I'm with you on DK. You know, I don't necessarily trust that offense, and I think we've said that on a few episodes, so I don't want to beat a dead horse. So I'm going to dump DK. Now, between DJ Moore and AJ Brown, you know, they're both, you know, I think very ascending players. But I like AJ Brown a little bit more, like you said. So I think AJ Brown, to me, his ceiling is a little higher than DJ Moore. I just think AJ Brown is a little better all around of a wide receiver prospect. I think DJ Moore is a little more explosive. He's a little more fun to watch. He's a little bit better. You know, they were both pretty good after the catch. If you go back and look at AJ Brown's yards after catch at college, you know, he was up there. He had some good numbers. So I think, but it just, you know, watching them both play, I just think DJ Moore looks a little more explosive. But I think AJ Brown plays the position a little bit better. He gets open a little bit more consistently. So I'm going to take AJ Brown dynasty. I'm going to take DJ Moore redraft, and I'm going to let DK walk.
Okay. All right. And Joshua did actually stay on brand with his opinion throughout the whole offseason here, in that he would actually keep Ridley as his dynasty, but trade him away to the first guy that's overvaluing him.
All right. I mean, that's fair. That all needs to be considered. You know,
yeah, it's logical. Yeah.
You know,
then, again, it's like I said earlier, the dude is just smart. He thinks outside the box.
Right.
All right. So tight ends. We'll start with Nate's here. He's got Irv Smith, Dawson Knox, and Mike Gesecki, or he's got Big Mike G on here.
Penn State Mike. I'll go with this one. You know, tight ends, they're not very flashy. You know, so this isn't very, you know, this isn't what you come here for, the tight end content, but the tight end content is necessary. I think I like Knox long term. I think Knox is going to be the guy I like, but that's tough because Gesecki with Tua, you know, that's interesting too. It's tough for me. I think I might go Gesecki dynasty, you know, hoping that the young quarterback in him, because, you know, what does a young quarterback love? A tight end who can get open. So let me go with Gesecki dynasty. Let me go Knox redraft, because I like, you know, they have a lot of weapons that can spread the field out there in Buffalo with Diggs, John Brown. Cole Beasley's a guy who's going to take a lot of attention in the middle of the field, and I think that should give Dawson Knox a lot of opportunities. I don't think he's the type of guy who's going to have like 8 to 10 targets a game, but I do think he's the type of guy who can have like 4 for 50 or 60 and the occasional touchdown. Because again, teams are going to be, you're going to have corners and safeties over the top with Brown and with Diggs. You're going to have linebackers and box safeties or nickel corners focused on Cole Beasley. So that should give Dawson Knox, who's a pretty good athlete, some opportunities and guys who shouldn't be running with him. So, and then I'm going to let Irv Smith walk. So that's what I got.
Okay. The Gesecki is easy for me for Dynasty, because he's got the athleticism. He's going to play more as a wide receiver in my mind than he will a tight end. He'll be playing a lot out of that slot. He'll go get the ball, not scared to take the hit. And then the tougher call for me is between Knox and Irv Smith for redraft. But with Knox, I don't see there being like. So with that running game with Moss and Singletary and Allen, I think they're going to try to run the ball a lot more. I think you're going to see Knox a lot more as a blocker than a receiving tight end. Even with the better wide receivers, I see potential for Diggs to get all pissed off again because they're not throwing the ball to him enough. because I don't see them throwing the ball a lot in that offense. It seems to me like they've really set it up to be a run-first team, and they should be with Allen at quarterback. So I'm going to go with Irv Smith. I think they're going to throw the ball a lot more in Minnesota. And I don't know. I keep hearing rumors about Rudolph moving on or retiring or maybe being traded. I don't know. None of it seems to be solid yet, so I don't know what's actually happening there. But even if he is there, I got to believe those last few games where we saw a lot of Irv Smith and not a lot of Rudolph was already kind of the changing of the guards there. And I think Irv Smith is going to be the go-to tight end for Minnesota. So he's going to be my redraft guy. Let's see. The next tight ends we have on here are Gronk, Fant, and Hockenson. And this was mine, so I'll leave it up to you to go first.
So I think it's going to come down to Dynasty for me between Fant and Hockenson. And I'm going Fant. I've already seen I've seen the way that Denver is using him in that offense. I've seen him click with the quarterback, and I think he's a dude. So give me Fant long term. I know Alberto's there, but I think Fant is a better player. There's they have some, Detroit, they got Galladay, and Marvin Jones. And then in Denver, you got Cortland Sutton and you got, Jerry Jeudy. So I think Denver's passing attack, I think those two guys should warrant a few more targets. But I don't think they're that much further ahead of the guys in Detroit. But still, give me Fant. Now between Gronk and Hockenson for redraft, this is tough because we don't know. We haven't seen anything of Gronk since he's came back. We do know that him and Brady, they have a connection based upon their history, and it's pretty recent history. It's only 1 year without each other. That's really tough for me. I think I'm going to go Gronk for redraft just because the expectation is that he comes in there and he produces. I might regret it if he gets hurt. I might regret letting Hockenson walk, but I think I'm going to let Hockenson walk because he's got that George Kittle type thing going for him. He's an excellent blocker. He plays through the whistle. He's good after catch. But I didn't see enough of that last year in Detroit, and I've seen enough of Gronk to know that he can do it, and he can do it with Brady. So I think I'm going to go Fant Dynasty, Gronk redraft, and I think I'm going to let Hockenson walk.
Okay. Well, I chose this one because I was hoping to hear two, if not three, if Nate could come on, all three of us say that we would dump Gronk just because that would make me feel good to hear three people say that they would dump Gronk. But but evidently I was wrong. So for me, for Dynasty, it's definitely Noah Fant, depending on what side of the Ohio River you're from. So it's either Fant or Fant. But with Hockenson, though, we saw a small sample of Hockenson with Stafford last season. Stafford missed 8 games, and I believe, if I remember right, Hockenson was hurt for like 2 games early on after his concussion because he blew up in week 1 against the Cardinals and then got a concussion early in the next game, missed a couple games. But then that 4 games back, he was kind of like a consistent target for Stafford. We didn't see anything great like he did against the Cardinals, which, let's face it, it was the Cardinals. They let all the tight ends do everything last year. But he was a pretty consistent target, and I think that baseline is going to be like a floor for Hockenson. I'm actually a little bit more on him now than I was before I wrote my article that can be found on FusionFFB.com. And this is where I was going to roll in the segue and talk about Josh's website. So, but that's why I came up with this one, because Josh, after I wrote it, he kind of reminded me that I should probably throw in something about Stafford. So when I went back and looked at the numbers with Stafford, I was a little bit more impressed with Hockenson. I would like to give it another season before I jump on that train. But in this situation, if I know I'm dumping Gronk and I know I'm keeping Fant for Dynasty, Hockenson's going to be my redraft guy. Let's see. I know we have another one. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I saved the best for last because Jonnu's in it. Jonnu Smith, Evan Engram, or Austin Hooper. And you came up with this one, so I'll go first. this was your decision here, and I absolutely love Jonnu. I mean, good, young, talented, athletic, but so is Evan Engram. I mean, he's got the injury history. Austin Hooper is now a Brown, so it makes him a lot less relevant. But this is a tough one. This is really tough, but I'm going to go with I'm going to go with knowing that Jonnu and Evan Engram both could have a really good season this season. I'm going to go with Jonnu as my dynasty guy because Jonnu as my redraft guy and Evan Engram as my dynasty guy because if Ingram comes back, he's healthy again. It's kind of like what Josh said earlier. I'll have some trade bait because he does still have the name left over from his rookie season, and I'm going to dump Austin Hooper. I know he had an incredible season last year. He is talented, but in that offense with all those different targets, I actually see the Browns' offense taking a step ahead from last season. Now that OBJ and Landry are healthy, and they're going to possibly play 2 tight end sets. I mean, I don't see them shying away from what they already have.
I think they'll trade Njoku. I think he'll be traded before the season starts.
I don't know, maybe. But I mean, if they do, I really hope the Colts are looking at tight ends. But so yeah, that's where I'm going to go with it. Now if they do trade Njoku, then obviously I need to keep Hooper somewhere. And if that's the case, then maybe I'm finally letting go and dumping Evan Engram. But that's only based off of injury, and that scares me to think that I would do that because if he's healthy, he's incredible. So I'm just gonna keep bouncing back and forth and around, and then maybe change the whole face of the game that way and say back to you, John.
So with Austin Hooper, Baker Mayfield, him and Mark Andrews had a thing, at Oklahoma, and I see similar characteristics in Hooper's game to Mark Andrews, and I wonder if he and Baker, Hooper and Baker can connect as he and Andrews did at Oklahoma. I don't know why he didn't connect with Njoku. I don't, but maybe a fresh face, maybe some more experience, maybe that'll help. So I do think, this one's tough. I think Jonnu Smith is an ascending player. I think we've seen Austin Hooper's best play, and then Evan Engram. I loved Evan Engram coming out. The dude, again, his rookie season, like you said, stud. His athletic profile. The guy's a wide receiver playing tight end. If we can get 16 from him for a few seasons, we're going to see some excellent tight end play. But it's a big question mark. The question for me is dynasty-wise, it comes down to Jonnu or Evan Engram. I think I'm going to go Jonnu, honestly, because I think he's a little safer. I think Evan Engram has a higher ceiling, but I think Jonnu's a little safer. And, I saw the Titans do some things with Jonnu that you don't see tight ends do, like running the ball out of the backfield, on reverses and stuff like that, and then him running away from defensive backs. I thought that was very impressive. They obviously see something in him if they're willing to give him the football like that. I think they're going to try to get him more targets this coming season. Now it comes down to redraft Evan Engram or Austin Hooper. And again, I think, both of them, there's question marks because we haven't seen Austin Hooper with Baker Mayfield. David Njoku is there in Cleveland at the moment. If Njoku gets traded, I'm going to go Hooper redraft. But for right now, I'm going to go Evan Engram redraft. I think Evan Ingram's got to be coming up on a contract year here soon. And generally, guys coming up on those contract years, they manage to stay healthy and they manage to get paid. So, I'm going to expect a season like that from him. Do I know if those expectations are warranted? It's hard to say because you can't just expect a guy to stay healthy that hasn't. But, seeing players do it in the past when it's time to get paid, I think he's going to put it together. So I'm going to go Jonnu Dynasty. I'm going to go Evan Engram redraft, and I'm going to let Austin Hooper walk.
Fair enough. And I'm getting the once over by Joshua because he's a big fan of Austin Hooper. So but I'll face that in the chat later. But we're kind of pushing the time here. So I want to say I appreciate the viewers on YouTube. really appreciate any of the listeners that are out there on the podcast as well. And don't forget that you can catch us at Toilets of Titles on Twitter. You can catch the coach at Coach Sheps, myself at Justin FF_, and then Nate also at Nate_dirt19. Email us at toiletsandtitles@gmail.com. You know what? I forgot one more thing. Do we want to talk about?
I think we're at 50 minutes.
Okay.
I'm glad we have a foundation for this other item that we want to talk about. But
we'll tease it.
We'll tease it. You tease it.
Okay, we'll tease it. So we're a lot of times with the making of this show, we've understood that a lot of us spend a lot of time in the bathroom. So while we're in the bathroom, we're constantly thinking of better ways to improve this show. And so we've decided to come up with bathroom boards, because there are several times where the three of us kind of butt heads and disagree on certain things. So we're going to come up with a list of kind of prop bets, if you will, or side bets. And we're going to determine what the punishment's going to be for the loser at the end of the season, or if we have two losers since there's three of us, or I mean, I'm sure at the end it's going to prove that we're all losers, but we'll figure something out.
We got to come up with a point system. I think we'll work it out where we each have equal amount of bets that we're in, so that we can all score equal amount of points. I think we'll come up with a point system, and based upon first, second, or third, we'll work some things out. You know, it's not going to be money. It's going to be like, you know, standard fantasy football punishments. No tattoos. I'm not getting Justin FF_ tattooed on my ass today. First for the second time. So
I don't mind tattoos. You can whatever. We can maybe a I don't know. Maybe we'll come up with several different punishments.
Maybe somebody can come up with, you know, tweet at us, DM us.
Yeah, give us some suggestions.
You know, in the comments of this episode, if you're watching this on YouTube after the fact and you've subscribed, like I hope you do, in the comment section, you know, go ahead and tell us what you think first, second, or third. You know, what should go on. And, you know, maybe if we get enough of a following, maybe not this year because we're still fairly new, but maybe next year we could do a bathroom board with listeners. You know, we could have a few that or friends of the show where we, you know, things like that. So this is something that can expand. I think it's a good idea. I think it's fun, and it's fair play. It's good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we tease that a little bit. Maybe we'll actually throw out some bets on the next episode if we have time. Don't forget to tune in Friday night, this Friday, 8:30 p.m., when we have Joshua Bigby on to talk about Fusion and possibly our bathroom board bets. And who knows, maybe Joshua and I can kick up a couple of ideas for some side bets as well. So, but anyway, so tune in Friday night. Hit that subscribe button on the bottom. Appreciate you guys for listening.
And make sure you go read Justin's article. We're going to tweet it out. We'll share it in the Podbean link. We'll share it everywhere. You know, so go check out what was Joshua's website again?
FusionFFB.com.
All right, check that out.
Right on. And as always, just love each other. We're all in this together. Peace.